I gave people all the stuff they really needed. Social Security checks, utility bills, TV guide.
I want a TV guidance counselor. TV guidance counselor. Staying up to watch all night, and everything's gonna be alright with my TV guidance counselor.
Hey everyone, welcome and surprise as promised. Did I promise you a surprise? Let's pretend that I did. Although if I promised you a surprise, is it really a surprise? This is the philosophical questions that we get into here on TV Guidance Counselor. I am Ken Reed. I am the TV Guidance Counselor. This is TV Guidance Counselor, and this is a little bonus episode for you guys. If you're a patron, you're getting this early. If you are not a patron, you should be. If you have an extra $1 a month, go to patreon.com/TV Guidance Counselor, and you could have been listening to this several weeks ago. If you're a $5 and up a month patron, you could also have a PDF of most of the TV guides that we've looked at this show. I post one every week that we look at a TV guide, and you also have access to the archives. And frankly, if people ask me for a specific TV guide, I will pull it and scan it for them to the best of my ability. Anyway, sometimes I do live shows, and I shockingly enough, because I've been very reflective this month about the last 4 years, and especially March 2020, which I imagine everyone knows was a terrible time. I was like, wow, I'm going to have to switch the show to be fully remote. And this was after doing the show in person for almost 7 years. And looking back, I have done at least one in-person show every year of the last 4 years. So there's never been a fully remote year. But anyway, that is sort of related to why I brought this up. NorthEast Comic-Con, which happens 3 times a year. I usually do it at least once or twice a year. I did it this month, March of 2024. And how could I not do this? If you are a listener of the show or you know me at all, you know what a massive Growing Pains fan I am. Go back, listen to the Tim O'Donnell episode if you have not. Also, Just the 10 of Us, obviously. I mean, it's Just the 10 of Us. I say this as I'm staring at my Just the 10 of Us cast shirt signed by Bill Kirchenbauer that sits above my computer in my office. But massive Growing Pains fan. And so NorthEast Comic-Con was doing a Growing Pains cast reunion with Tracey Gold and Jeremy Miller and Julie McCullough. And of course I had to moderate that panel. I know Julie. I've had Julie on the show before. She's an absolute sweetheart. Julie is great. I had never met Jeremy. I'd never met Tracey. I will say I rarely get nervous. It might be noticeable. I am very nervous here because I truly am a fan. It's funny how the people I've gotten to talk to, the people I know, the people I've gotten to work with, I generally am not nervous, but this made me a little nervous. But a great chat. This was really fun. There was also 4 more conversations from NorthEast Comic-Con. Kevin Chapman, Bai Ling, or 3 more. Gina Schock from the Go-Go's, and she joined me with Greg Hawkes from the Cars. So those will be coming out in due time. Again, the patrons will get them early, but the normal feed, if that's where you're listening to this, you will get it eventually. Leave a little review too. Wherever you listen to this, if you want to leave a review of the show, that is a huge help. It helps offset the 1-star reviews I get from people who for some reason listen to the show but don't like me. That seems weird to me. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. I still need a therapist. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's extra bonus episode of TV Guidance Counselor live from NorthEast Comic-Con in March 2024, Boxboro, Massachusetts. It's the Growing Pains cast reunion. Tracey Gold, Jeremy Miller, Julie McCullough. Enjoy.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
So please welcome from Growing Pains, Jeremy Miller, Tracey Gold, and Julie McCullough, everybody. Thank you, guys. Welcome to lovely Boxboro.
Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Love the shirt.
Thank you.
Yes.
And you already told I love the shirt.
I am a huge Growing Pains fan. I have a cast shirt myself.
Nice.
Didn't bring my stuff, but so I
where to start. So you're the only original cast member here, we'll say, because you weren't in the pilot, right? Didn't you come in later?
I am in the pilot.
But didn't they shoot you later?
Well, what happened was they shot a pilot with an original Carol Seaver, and they decided to go a different direction, and they recast it with me. So the original pilot is with me.
Excellent. So, because you had done Goodnight Beantown before that, right?
I had done a lot of work before that.
Yeah, I love Goodnight Beantown. That's what I
Thank
said.
you.
And you're on Benson with your sister, your older sister.
I did an
right?
episode of my sister's show for sure.
Yep.
I played a bad girl.
No, was your sister the first one in the family that wanted to act, or were you all kind
No,
of
it was
like...
me.
It was you?
It was me. And I didn't want to act. I didn't really have any. I just sort of fell into it accidentally with a Pepsi print ad in New York. And then a Lucky Charms commercial. And then my first job was Roots when I came to California.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And so, like, no, it was me, but then Missy got Benson, and we both auditioned for it, and she got it, and I was thrilled for her. And so, like, she became more famous before me, but I was consistently working the whole time.
Right, because she had a series, and then if you're in a series,
Absolutely.
everybody knows you. And was Growing Pains your first thing?
No, I started acting when I was 5. So I'd done some commercials.
I was 4.
Yep,
got a winner.
she beat me.
Can you beat it? Can you go lower? Can you go?
I've been acting since I came out of the womb.
Oh, you
The
gotta
I call foul.
moment I stepped out of the cooter and I came into the world.
Did an
That was my
accent?
first acting job. Hi, I'm here. I'll be appearing here for the rest of your life,
Start
Mama.
doing Shakespeare.
So yeah, I was on most of the 80s sitcoms as a guest star at different points. I did Different Strokes, Punky Brewster, Charles in Charge, Pryor's Place, which was a Sid
Saturday
and Marty
morning.
Krofft show that Richard Pryor helped develop that was a kid's show. Pretty much every show during the 80s before Growing Pains, I did a little guest spot on at different times. So I'd been working pretty consistently for a couple of years.
And you had come in season 4, I think you came in, right?
I
Season
think,
4.
yeah, wasn't
Yep.
it season
Season
4?
four.
Season 4.
Right. When
Yeah.
Chrissy came in, you were the nanny. You were hired to be the nanny.
Yes. I came in to babysit the new baby
And then
Caused a whole heap of trouble.
and caused a whole heap of trouble.
2 seasons of trouble. So was it weird to come into a show that, I mean, Growing Pains was a huge show, and by season 4, you have this very established cast. To be a regular on that show, they hadn't really introduced the new...
Well, I wasn't a regular. I was a recurring. But a lot of people, I think, because I got so much publicity so fast for being on the show that people just assumed I was a regular or assume I am. But I was a recurring character. But I guess I was a popular recurring
Yes.
character. Popular. But, yeah. But they were the main cast.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean,
I just got lucky to ride on their coattails. That's all I'm saying. I got lucky.
No, I mean, the reoccurring people on the show were, like, if people look at the list of guest stars...
Oh, we had amazing people come through.
Incredible.
Heather Graham,
Our
Brad
stage,
Pitt,
yeah.
Brad Pitt. Nobody heard of that dude.
Hillary
Nobody
Swank.
heard of
yeah,
him.
Hilary Swank came in.
Yeah, and then that's
Heather
some guy
Graham,
named Leo
Graham.
DiCaprio.
Leo,
Like,
who knows?
you know, that wannabe. Where are
Never
they
had any
now?
career after
Yes, barely had a career.
But when you're meeting those people...
He went down on a sinking ship.
It was,
Right,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Just saying.
When you're
His
meeting
career
those
went
people,
down.
You're like, oh, this person's going to be a massive star. Like, could you just tell sometimes?
I think you could tell with Leonardo and Brad Pitt.
And Brad, yeah.
Brad and
Those were the
Leonardo.
two you really
Those were the
knew.
two that came through that you went like, whoa, that person's going to be.
And I remember we actually had a few conversations about Leo early on that was like,
We all did.
this kid is something
Yeah.
special.
We all,
you know, it
and
was...
He came in so nice and so fresh and so happy to be a part of the experience. And we all look and go, this kid's really good.
Because it's not easy to come and do an established cast that's been
It's
seasons
very
after
hard.
season and just kind of slot right in.
But
Like,
I feel bad for Julie because, like,
Yeah.
we were she says I was really nice, but we were a tough nut to crack, that group.
You were nice.
Thank you.
She thinks she wasn't nice.
I'm quiet.
She was nice.
Thank you.
But the show did a really good job of giving you each sort of episodes and character stories.
They did, yeah.
You know, even though, you know, obviously Kirk kind of became the pinup in the first season, but they still had, like, there was a Ben story, there's a Carol episode. Like, it was
They were very good about that.
Yeah, they really kept it very balanced, and the fans really liked that. I mean, given, yes, Kirk was the focus for especially those middle years, second to fifth season area.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
It was really focused on him. But it, like you said, I mean, 2-3 times a year at least, there'd be a Ben episode. There'd be a Carol episode.
There would be a Mike and Jay, Maggie and Jason
Yep.
episode. So we all got like our special turns to sort of have our moment, even if like Kirk was sort of the one who kind of like catapulted those couple years.
But it felt natural, which was unusual for a sitcom at that time. Like even something like Family Ties, like everyone in that cast is great. It's the Michael J. Fox show.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
but you got,
I did love Mallory.
Mallory's amazing. She's a comedy killer. Everyone on that show can
Love
sell
Mallory.
lines like crazy. Tina Yothers, underrated on that show. But like, Carol's got like the Bobby.
We played sisters.
Did you? What were your sisters with?
Shoot the Moon.
Oh, Shoot the Moon, that's right.
Tina and I, yeah.
And you're in, I love Dance Till Dawn. Love
Thank
that.
you.
Back in the 80s, if people don't know, they would have these sort of summer movies where all the casts of the teenage casts would be on this like all-star event. It was like the MCU. And Dance Till Dawn was a great one.
Well, the Dance Till Dawn happened during a strike. It was a writer's strike, and it was during hiatus. And so they had the script already. They didn't have to rewrite it, do anything, so they could greenlight it. And every actor at that point really couldn't work on hiatus. And so we all were like, yeah, we're going to do this. And it was great. It was a fun experience.
Do you have favorite episodes of the show? Or do you have a favorite episode?
Do you have a favorite episode, Julie?
Well, it was a sad episode, but when Matt came on the show,
the same.
Matthew Perry.
and
You're
because
so sweet.
it was on a personal note, because he snuck into my dressing room, and back when we had phone books, before we had cell phones for any young people, there was this thing called a phone book. You had to write everything down in, or you had nobody's number, and I get home and I'm flipping through my phone book looking for something, and I see this name, and it's like Matthew Cool Guy Perry. It's written in my phone book.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Matthew Cool Guy Perry. I still have it. I still have that phone book with his name in it. So for the rest of his life, in my life, I've always referred to him as Matthew Cool Guy Perry.
That's funny.
I couldn't call Maddie hardly anything else. And so it became my favorite episode because it established our friendship. I called him that week. He invited me down to hang out at this little place on Sunset Boulevard, and I still have all those same friends that I met through Matthew Cool Guy Perry.
Cool guy knows all the cool people.
Yes, we went to, he invited me to the Formosa, and the Formosa Cafe was this place in LA that all these young actors would go and hang out at.
Still there.
And it's still there, and it's just one of those old school Hollywood places to hang. Leo wound up coming in there later when he got old enough to be in a bar, and it was just like one of those places. So, and it was a sad episode, really.
Yeah,
Oh, it was.
Matthew
It was
Cool Guy Perry
devastating. Yeah.
died
I mean,
tragically.
you have a heartbreaking monologue in that episode.
I do.
That's just like,
Yeah, that was. That episode is like for me like a proud episode because I think we did really good work there.
Yes, you did.
And
You did great.
Thank you.
You were great in
and
that.
and Matthew did too, and it was wonderful. And that's the thing about Growing Pains is we all sort of got a moment, it was called like the special episode where it was sort of a teaching episode, and we all got them somebody would get it every season, and that was my season, and so I felt like proud of that. Yeah.
But Growing Pains did those very special episodes better than any of the other shows, in my view, because they felt natural. They didn't feel preachy, like
No,
the
they
one where I think it's Mike's friend's going to commit suicide, and it's the whole episode in the driveway with Jason and her talking, or the Nancy Reagan homeless girl steals the presents that you bring home for Christmas episode. And that ends on such a down note that's just really impactful for a multicam sitcom. It's unusual.
I thought our writers did a really good job with those episodes, and like you said, keeping them relatable and keeping them real.
Not preachy.
Yeah.
Not preachy.
Kirk's the cocaine episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one of the iconic ones.
That's
And
one of my favorite
people
jokes.
still to this day will go back and go, that was like exactly what I went through in high school with the peer pressure with it and everything else. Our writers were just great about keeping it very natural and very real.
But would be funny too, like the jokes work. Like if I think of different strokes, like the Mr. Bicycle Man episode, there are highly inappropriate jokes in that are some old joke writer and it does not get the theme. But like in the cocaine episode, I think it's the final joke in the episode, Mike comes home and Dr. Seaver goes, Boner and Eddie called, they said they're not going to go to the bathroom and they don't want to. And he like has no idea what that means.
I
but it's
remember
such
that.
a funny joke.
It is.
And it works in the context of the thing. So everyone was kind of, none of the characters were written down to. I feel like you all got, and you weren't cliches. Like you got to be your own character. But did they write the characters to you eventually? Or do you feel like you grew?
Well, they did. I mean, I'm pretty sure they did this with all of us. In between seasons, they would often talk to us about the things that were going on in our lives to see what they could try and incorporate into the different storylines and things like that.
Well, but for me, I mean, the reason why I wasn't in the I didn't get the pilot originally, but I am an original cast member, is that I wasn't quite the way they viewed Carol Seaver, and they wanted Carol Seaver to be like the kind of studious, nerdy, glasses girl, and I wasn't. And so they fit me into that mold to make me that, but then as they got to know me, like I think more my own personality came out, and like Carol Seaver got to be the homecoming queen. So you can be smart and the homecoming queen, and that was like a message that I wanted. And it wasn't like, oh, I just have to be how you think of the smart girl and put her in this box. And I think that was, for me, like letting Carol be like, you can be cool and smart. So.
But they built that so nicely, like when you're tutoring the football guy, and that's how you kind of like, you're still smart and that person. You know,
Absolutely, she never lost her smartness.
Yeah. Did you guys have favorite episodes? We got to these.
Of course, the Sandy episode is like for me is so important. But I have to say, the recruiter was mentioned to us earlier, and that is one that we had a blast shooting, and we had so much fun.
Honestly, we couldn't get through a take half the time.
We
it was
were
so
laughing.
funny.
We had a guest star.
The guest star, Carmine, who played the recruiter.
He wasn't the recruiter.
Right, he was
a
a homeless guy.
So you didn't want to go to
the
BU and BC or something?
Because I didn't want to go to the college they wanted me to go to or something.
This guy was such a great comedic actor. None of us could keep a straight face. I mean, we couldn't get through a take. It was so much fun.
He was like a vaudeville guy.
Oh yeah.
He was amazing. We were laughing so hard. There's another one where we thought that Jason had another family.
Yeah. Where we're all down in the basement.
We're in the basement, and we laughed so hard during rehearsals that we thought it was funnier than anybody else did. It's like, that's how my room gets so messed up. Because you thought like another family, and then did Petula Clark, and we didn't know who that was.
Of course.
They were like, there's a Petula Clark picture, and like we had to be told who she was, and I still don't quite know. But that one just killed us.
Those were always kind of my favorite episodes to
Where
do.
the three of us
was
got
the ones where Kirk and Tracy and I got to be kids and do dumb, fun,
Those were the fun
kid
ones.
stuff. One of my favorites to shoot, I mean, saying the Hawaii episode, I always feel is a cop-out because, hey, we went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I mean, why is that not going to be amazing? But the episode,
I had to wear a bikini.
Which I was happy about. She wasn't.
Well, thanks.
Hey, we weren't really related. I had the biggest crush. I followed her around like a little lost puppy for the first 3 years. So,
True.
The episode Ben and Mike's Big Adventure, Excellent Adventure, the episode that had Jenny Garth on as a guest star, and we're driving around all night looking for paste and for a school project, and that one was really fun to shoot because it was 3 days straight of night shoots on location. So it was me and Kirk and Jenny and all the girls just hanging out all night long out on Ventura Boulevard and on the back lot at Warner's and just having fun and messing around and stuff. And those were kind of the best times.
That's what I was going to say. The back lot of Warner Brothers, you probably were on, for sure.
Well, there was a bizarre one, too, where you go in for like a tonsillectomy and you wake up. And it's a TV show, so you're like on the lot.
So, yeah, that was one of my favorites, was also the fantasy episode where that wasn't the tonsillectomy. That was actually just a dream episode. Gotcha. The tonsillectomy episode was where I, in the haze of my anesthesia, dreamed that I had been replaced by another Ben. And the actor they actually had do that was Danny Cooksey from Different Strokes.
Right.
So, and Danny and I'd known each other for years, so that was really fun, getting to kind of play him as the villain, trying to take over my life.
And then I love Dance Fever is a favorite of mine because everyone gets a character piece. Like you have that budding relationship with Boner, maybe. You're going to bet on pinball.
The school dance. Well, I hated the school dance ones because I can't dance, and everybody else on the set could dance, and so I was like the butt of their
Not
joke.
everybody.
Well, yeah, not you, but I just like you have to dance in an episode. I was just like, it was hard.
But like you said, they were really great episodes in that they gave everybody their own little story inside of those.
Yeah, there's no A and B story. It's
Yeah.
like 4 A stories.
That was the one where, Stinky and I are trying to go to the legendary
Blackie's
Diner where we can gamble on pinball. And, it was always cool that our writers did that. And
Absolutely.
That they gave everybody their moment.
I was going to say, the writers probably knew that Tracey didn't know how to dance, and that's probably why they wrote that.
Absolutely.
They did have a tendency to do that to
Torture
you.
me.
They did try to gain, at the expense, especially when they're kids, like anything that a kid doesn't have the experience in, they try to gain in their writing by utilizing that information.
Yeah, you have to be really careful to let them know too much.
Here's things I don't like. This is the whole season. So then there was the cruise one, I think, with you, where you were going to get married or something on the cruise, and you had, speaking of Mr. Bicycle, Gordon Jump, who played Maggie's dad.
Always, yeah.
Such a wonderful actor.
Yeah, we got really lucky, like with the grandparents, Jane
Oh,
Powell.
they were Jane Powell.
Like, oh my God.
We got to work with so many legends. I mean, Annette Funicello comes through.
Annette
Alan
Funicello.
Hale Jr.
She was in the
from
Dance Fever one, I think. Yeah.
She's chaperone.
Yeah, she was one of the chaperones,
Yep.
and I mean,
Good
we
knowledge.
had legend after legend coming through the set, and it was, even as a kid, it was an honor to be.
It was a wow thing. It was. You were like, whoa.
Because were you shooting on the Warner lot?
We were on the
We
Warner
were on the
Ranch.
Okay.
The ranch
So,
lot.
we shot the first season on the lot, and then after the first season, we moved to the ranch, and that became like our domain because there were 2 stages, and it was us, and then my sister Sam was there.
And originally
Just
it was
the 10 of
just
us.
us.
Originally, it's just us.
All
We
they really
owned
used
it.
the ranch for was for location shoots.
Yeah,
They
for,
had the Fantasy Island set.
the Mel
they had the
Gibson
Old
movie.
West set. They had Lethal,
Lethal
Weapon
Weapon.
House.
Yeah, they
The
shot
weapon.
Lethal
Oh,
Weapon
and the
there.
Christmas vacation.
Which, by the way,
And
is the Christmas Vacation House.
Yep. We were leaving for hiatus one March, and we could see they were setting up to make it look like the Christmas Vacation neighborhood. It was so neat.
It is so weird that when you're in those things, you will go see a movie and it's like, that's our house. Like the kitchen in Webster is in The Golden Child. Or it's just bizarre things like that.
Our we were just talking about it. Our set was immediately used for Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
The high school set.
Literally, they took our living room.
The pilot episode, they are in our living room.
Like the
I mean,
next week, we weren't even like gone. We hadn't cleared out our dressing rooms yet, and they moved in another show.
Yep.
I will say, cried a bunch on the last episode when Maggie takes the photo. It's got the brick.
I have to say, we were balling.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
were
have a reason to. I'm
mess.
just
it was
saying.
a rough. It was a rough
were
week to get through that
a
final
mess.
episode.
That was so hard. It really was, because it was really the end of something that we knew was like lightning in a bottle, and it was the end. And they were our family. Everybody was family. And you knew, and I knew especially, because I've been acting since I was a kid, that when a show is over, you all kind of go your separate ways. And it felt like that. So, even though we still see each other, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're there every week for years.
Every day, yep.
And for people who don't, like a sitcom, you there Monday, you get the script, you're shooting by Friday usually, right?
By the end, we had a really cushy schedule.
We actually, by I think 5th season, they incorporated a 4-day shoot week for us because we had it down so well that we only needed 2 days of rehearsals instead of 3.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, your audiences must have loved you.
And the truth is, to do a show like Growing Pains, if you're going to be an actor, is one of the best jobs you can have, because you're really kind of a 9-to-5er unless it's taping night. But then in that case, you come in at noon and you maybe work till 10 or 11, but it's an abbreviated day, and the adrenaline is so huge and great.
Live audience.
But your regular schedule is so cushy.
And you would do 2 shows a night too.
Yeah, we would do 2 shows.
When you're shooting a sitcom or situation comedy back then, you usually do 2 shows in the same night. So if you mess up in the first show, you have an opportunity to make up and get it right by the second show. And sometimes some shows have an audience, and sometimes there is no audience. They'll have maybe one audience for one show.
Well,
We only
none
did
for
one
the other.
audience performance, but we would film everything
film
the morning
everything,
of
like, as
that
like
day.
Exactly.
Like second chance, like just
Yes.
in case we didn't get it.
In front
and
of
then
the
there
audience.
would be pickups after we filmed, but because we were young and like in the beginning, especially in Jeremy, like we had certain hours we could work, so it was a good show to go watch because they wouldn't take you to like 1 o'clock in the morning
People
because
don't know
the
sitcom
kids had to
audiences
go.
is like
Unless
a
you were of
requested
age
jury.
and you
Julie,
had
they
to
kept
stick
Julie a lot
around because they get all the youngins first who are minors, and then anybody who was of age had to stick around longer.
Could have been worse. You could have been the warm-up comic and had to be there for 12 hours.
Yeah, the warm comic actually, to be honest, that's a pretty
a tough
sweet job. It's a tough gig, but it's a sweet job because you come in, the audience wants to be there. You're there for a few hours, and if you know your stuff, you can really like.
Which I have to say, we had 2
we had great warm-up guys.
warm-up
We had
guys.
great. We're
Bob
so
Perlow
lucky.
was
Yeah.
our first warm-up guy, and this guy was
So
brilliant. He
great.
could work a crowd like nobody you had ever seen, and he'd have them just frothing at the mouth for us to come
Just
out.
in case, do y'all know what a warm-up person is? But if you don't, basically it's a comedian who's there just to talk to the audience. So while we're setting up on a stage, there's a
Or changing
comedian
costumes.
who's talking to the audience the whole time to keep them still
like a cruise
happy,
director.
Right, not falling asleep.
and not falling asleep. And like if there's a part that they knew that they wanted an audience to laugh or cheer, then the comedian would be back there, or they would blink a sign saying applause, or
By the time they
that's what
introduced
a
us,
warm-up person is.
They would introduce us with the Growing Pains canvas behind us. It would say Growing Pains, and we would come out and do our intros. I mean, it was really
cranked.
fun.
Yeah.
They were cranked and ready, and they were roaring.
And it gave us really great energy to feed off of for the
Absolutely.
show. And that's part of why our director did not like to do retakes or anything else in front of the audience. If we had to, we would, but he wanted to keep it
Yeah,
moving.
we didn't make you
He wanted
sit there.
to keep that energy. I had lots of friends who were on different sitcoms at the time, so I saw many tapings.
If you've ever been to a Big Bang Theory taping, that goes hours. They feed you in the middle because like it's so long,
They take your jacket so you can't leave.
and they take your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed too, like in the age of the bloopers, like TV's Bloopers and Practical Jokes is a huge show. I never recall seeing a lot of Growing Pains bloopers.
Our
What was the
bloopers.
question?
He was saying he didn't remember seeing a lot of Growing Pains bloopers. Our blooper
We have
reels
great
were
bloopers.
our blooper reels were protected. They were put together at the
They
end
were
of the
epic.
year by our producers, and
They would play them at the rap
they'd
party.
play them at our rap party. But our producers were pretty risque.
Little Blue.
The jokes in our bloopers and our thing were not family friendly.
I didn't get half of them until really years later.
So it was not something they wanted to get out.
Now, we were a wholesome family show, but behind the scenes,
It could get a little
could get a
raunchy
little-
sometimes. So.
Did you guys ever do any of the practical jokes or anything?
Well,
Always.
we did a lot of pranking on the
me.
set. Kirk and I tortured Tracy, lots
Yes.
of pranks. Kirk and I pranked a lot of the cameramen, a lot of the crew. Well, finally, everybody on set had had enough of it. And they decided, because Kirk is a master prankster. I mean, master. And they decided we're going to get him. So they called TV's Bloopers and Practical Jokes. And with the help of Kirk's family and the entire crew, they nailed him. They stole his car from his parents convinced him he had to go in and get his car worked on. This was his first car, his baby.
God, I can't believe you remember that. So that's so true.
And his parents convinced him to take it in to get it worked on. They stole it from the shop it was getting worked on, and he got a call on set we have cameras hidden and are rolling.
He
And
was super
they
upset.
called him in the middle of the shoot day and said, your car's been stolen. We're looking for it now. We'll keep you posted. And then they, found it later on and made him come identify it. So they bring out this
Trash.
exact model of his car, stripped and trashed. They put the picture of his girlfriend right on the dashboard they had it all exactly like his car. And you see him, he comes out on camera and he's almost in tears. His face is shattered. And he's just, what did they do to my baby? What? And his family comes tearing around the corner in his beautiful car and is like, we got you, TV's bloopers and practical jokes. He was furious, but it was great to finally nail the prankster.
We would be like in school together, and because we were in school together because we were in high school, and Jeremy had another teacher, and we would have a phone in our schoolroom, and he knew how to make it ring without anybody calling, and he would be like, yeah, hey, okay, I'll be a set. He's like, oh, do you need Tracey? I'd be like, yes. And he'd be like, oh, you don't need her. Okay, bye, I'm going. And I was like left in school, and he's like going out, like doing whatever he wanted. I'm like, what about me?
It's a very Mike Seaver move.
Oh, yeah.
It was. It was funny.
Any questions for the guys? So you were mentioning you would go to a lot of tapings because you had friends in shows, but so you're only kind of the only show at the Wrench, so you weren't kind of walking through. Would you specifically go, or were you kind of just wandering around?
On our set, we really only had the 2 sound stages. So we were the first ones there, and then they brought in my sister Sam with Pam Dauber, Rebecca Schaefer, and that was actually pretty,
That was awful.
That was really hard.
Yeah.
We came to set on Monday expecting to see Pam and Rebecca and everybody, and she had been murdered over the weekend by her stalker. And
That got scary.
no one knew. That's the thing. We showed up Monday morning and everybody was basically, where's Rebecca? There had been no report. Nobody knew what was going on at this point. So that was pretty rough. And then we had Just the 10 of Us, which was our spin-off,
The spin-off.
which took over that sound stage afterwards. But no, most of the other shows were filmed on different lots. So, I'd call up my friend. I was friends with the Wonder Years kids and the Full House kids. Given with Candace, that was our sets were very incestuous in that way because we all knew each other and we were always on each other's sets. But Charles in Charge, the newer one, I was friends with Nicole and all them. And so if I wasn't working or if I was off or if we weren't shooting that day, I'd go catch one of their tapings or something. And
I never went to a taping.
It's work. Why would you?
It's work. I'm like, I don't need to sit in the audience.
But you guys would do a lot of ancillary stuff. Like I remember you and your sisters were on like putting on the kids once. You did like a Chipmunks thing.
We did with Kirk.
Yeah.
My sisters and myself. We did Alvin the Chipmunks Christmas thing. It's humiliating, but I really went for it, and that's the only thing you can do in that moment.
Yeah, you sell
is
it.
just sell it. So we did. My dad puts it on our home video sometimes, so I've seen it recently. I'm like, oh my God. But when I go, I just want a hula hoop,
Yeah.
I sell it.
Because you get like Circus of the Stars. And that
We
kind of
did
stuff.
everything. We were jumping out of hoops. My sister did Circus of the Stars, and then I did it.
And I did it.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
Did you
with
do
Circus of the
tightrope?
Stars?
I was a high wire.
Oh yes.
I
Highwire, yeah.
did it was like a trapeze thing
Yeah.
where I had to fly in the air. It was a really fun, cool experience. And then you shot it in Las Vegas, but scary as can be.
Yeah, you're really doing it. It's work.
You're really
you're-
doing
I was ticked because I got brought in one season to audition and they decided I was too young because it was so dangerous and so risky. So I didn't get to do it. Kirk did Circus of Stars, Tracey did, everybody I knew did Circus of Stars. I only got to audition. I got to do a little bit of the trapeze and then they were like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
How old are you?
I think that was 10.
Okay,
You
yeah.
had to train like, cause, Andre Gower.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
he's a good buddy.
Andre and
Yeah.
I were in the thing together, and
Yeah.
I was 14, and Andre was a little younger than me, and he was also like small, and he's like a super athlete.
Oh, yeah.
So we'd be rehearsing, and he would get every trick, and I was trying, learning it, and like this, and he did fall.
Yeah, it was under his
And
hand.
I
You have
did
to
it.
go.
I was like, whoa. I was a little like, Because he was so good. He was like the little mega athlete.
But they made you work. Like you went and trained with real circus
We
people
went on a
after
train.
hours.
We trained for 3
What was
months.
his name?
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah, Bob Yerkes.
Bob Yerkes.
Yerkes was
He
just
taught
inducted
us.
into the
We would go
Circus
to-
Hall of Fame, by the way, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
We would go to his ranch and train there, and it was intense, hard training.
It's not like easy TV kid version.
No.
Like you're getting.
You trained for 3 months solid every single morning. Like I would go and I would train in the wee hours of the morning. And if I had to come to the set of Growing Pains a few times, I would go straight from the circus set right over to the Growing Pains set. And we were training at Universal by
That's
then.
funny. Yeah, I
We
did
were
it
on the-
before Growing Pains because I got Growing Pains when I was 16, and I
Yeah.
did Circus of the Stars when I was 14. So
They would never do that now for insurance reasons. The star
no,
show
what
takes
they
a
were
fall.
having us do back then. Oh my God, no, net high, no hooks on us or
Yeah.
anything because you would train with the hooks on you. But by the time you went to Las Vegas and did it,
Yeah.
But sometimes you think about it, like when you're young and you're so fearless. It's like, oh, I can do this.
Candy Clark told me when she did it, the tiger attacked her. It broke her leg.
I believe that.
Like,
I
you have this star. There's a tiger. Insane. Any questions? Anyone think of a question?
It's always hard to be the first person to ask a question.
It's true. It's true. Yes.
Yes.
Come on up.
The lady with a great shirt.
Excellent shirt.
It's hard to hear you. Yes.
The secondary people, like all the other people that were recurring on there.
Andrew Coing and all those.
Yeah, is there somebody that you were like, I just love working with this person so much, and you had you guys, but then you had your friends, and you had your girlfriends that would come on, or boyfriends, was there someone?
We love Julie.
It's Julie's number one.
Thank you.
Questions like favorite reoccurring.
She
like-
was honestly my favorite reoccurring, but
Oh, you would have
We
to
had
give it to
so many-
Andrew.
I'd say
for
Andrew
Boner.
Koenig,
Andrew Koenig
he
was
was
comedic,
so amazing.
so good, and really made that character. Mr. DeWitt.
Sam Anderson,
Sam
a
Anderson.
legendary,
He was
TV
great.
actor. Sam was wonderful. I
Yeah,
really loved every
yeah.
episode we got to have Sam on. It's hard to choose one that was, real because we had such great people that were, such a big part of TV before and after Growing Pains that.
But I would always have to go the secondary character. I think you just can't escape the
You
Boner.
can't escape Boner. No, you really can't.
just
It was, and Andrew
For
was a
people who
joy
don't know
to
the
work
show,
with.
that phrase is fine.
Well, no, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. When the show started, everybody was like, he. We can't believe we got that name past censors. Like that, we actually had a high school
His
kid.
real name was Richard Stabone. It makes perfect
There you
sense.
go,
What's wrong with
exactly.
you? But even he got like when he joins the army, that episode's heartbreaking. Like that's
That was
such
a good episode.
Yeah.
His last episode was my first.
Oh really?
Oh, wow.
There can be only one. Wow, that must have been weird too. When wow. that made extra-
He was like, I was like, wow. I was like, why are you leaving the show? Because I was so excited I was coming on, And I was like, I'm so excited to be here. And he did this to me. Good luck.
Oh!
It stuck with me. It stung. It stung.
No.
I didn't understand that. I was like,
Andrew had
what?
his issues with the business. He had a love-hate relationship.
Well,
with
his father was
Walter
Star Trek,
Koenig
yeah.
from
Walter
Star Trek.
Koenig.
So he was not happy being Boner.
He wanted
Well,
to
he was
be
also,
a
when he first
serious
started
character.
our show, he was Josh was his name, and he changed it
And
to
he
Andrew.
changed his
so
name.
I would always kind of call him Josh, Andrew, Josh. I called him two names, which I don't think he loved, but
That's why he quit.
Well, he just wanted to do more serious stuff because I ran into him years later and I was up in Vancouver and we're both filming up there for something and I was like, you know what? You did that to me. You patted me on the back and said, good luck. And I said, it stung. I said, I didn't understand why you did. And he's like, I don't even remember doing that. You don't remember that?
you're like, it stuck with me.
I remember every second of the thing. But yeah, I mean, the cast you were saying was amazing. You have all these great actors. Dick Van Patten's the racist in that great episode.
Yeah.
Would you watch the show, or is it weird to watch it?
At the time, I watched most of them because I wanted to see how it came
yeah.
together, how
I watched
they,
it.
what cuts they did, what made it in, what made it out. So yeah,
like
we
to
watched
see
it pretty
myself
regularly.
and
See,
see,
I
like,
hated
what I-
seeing myself, but I wanted to see how the show came together. So yeah, we would, whenever I could, I would watch when it showed. And
Absolutely.
My
We
mom
would record
VHS
it, yeah.
every episode.
We would
so-
record it and watch it. But nowadays, I wouldn't really go back and watch it. We tried to show it to my kids, and they had a little interest. And then one day, I came home, and my now 19-year-old, but he was probably like 7 at the time, he's lying on the couch, like eating, and he's watching a Ben episode. And I'm like, this is amazing.
How
It's hard to
appropriate.
impress them, but
Was it the phone sex one?
I don't know which one it was.
Okay, so a little story on the phone sex episode. I am 9 years old. Now, given I was a very knowledgeable 9, growing up with my uncle was a Hell's Angel. I grew up around truckers, bikers.
And then you grew up around us.
And then I grew up around crew members and adults. So I had an idea of what we were talking about and what we were dealing with this episode. But our producers, who didn't have the best judgment sometimes, wanted me at 9 years old to listen to an actual phone sex line so I would know my mother put her foot down quicker than you have ever seen.
Totally unnecessary.
Said, that is unnecessary. It is not happening. He'll give you exactly what you want without that. And I still to this day can't believe they wanted a 9-year-old to sit there and listen to a hardcore 976 line.
But I mean, again,
I can.
Get
I
away
can
with
believe
stuff
it.
like, Boner and the Hooters were the team, it's
The Dewey High Hooters.
Dewey High Hooters.
We got away with a lot of very tongue-in-cheek puns and a lot of things that, were a little side-eyed.
So given the good luck wish you were given, like when you go and do stuff like Golden Girls and stuff, were you comparing to the Growing Pains experience and were you kind of like, it makes sense now? Or
The Golden Girls experience was amazing. Nothing against the show, but everything.
It's okay.
Growing Pains was a growing pain, not because of them. They were awesome. We've all been friends for years. Just other things that were happening on set.
Yeah.
But then I get over to the Golden Girls, and they were so sweet and so amazing and such seasoned actresses, and they were so nice to me. I was like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be like on a sitcom.
Competitiveness, I think, on the set a little bit. That probably Golden Girls, they were past that.
They were so like
they were veterans. They've all had their own
Absolutely.
shows. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, and they were all comedian women. They knew I was doing comedy, and they were just like these really supportive, amazing women. To this day, I think about them, and they were my favorite. They were my favorite set of all the sets I've worked on. I was Mary on the Golden Girls. I was the pregnant teenager that gets knocked up. My daddy kicks me out, and the Golden Girls took me in. That was my character, so if anybody doesn't know that.
Any other questions? Try for 1 or 2 more questions.
I should have told them. They should have had me say that I was knocked up by Mike Seaver.
Well, it was
That's an inside joke. They
It was
should have
implied.
said that on the
We
show.
all knew. We all knew.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if there's any pieces from the set that you kept.
Or any other mementos that you guys have.
I have the gumball machine from Ben's room that sat on my nightstand. That was that and the pink Fender Stratocaster they gave me in the 6th season. So I have both of those at home. Those were my 2 keepsakes.
I have the gifts they gave us at Christmas. Like I have a music box, I have a jacket. I took nothing from the set, but we had something on the set that if we could take, we would have. And it was our gum wall. We had like a art piece that like behind where you would enter, like for your intros or anything, there was gum, and it was by the end we all go, that should be framed.
It honestly looked like a mosaic of all these different colors of. Because, you're about to walk out and maybe you were chewing gum earlier and you're filming. So it's like, oh, what do I... So all of a
gum
sudden
was
it
a big
became
thing.
this wall behind the set.
Yeah,
And we
quite
actually...
gross, but-
it was kind of nasty, but we considered cutting it out. And
We did.
We were like, can we shellac it? What can we do?
We literally had the same cereal canisters for 7
Sitting
years.
up on the shelves in the
Sitting up
kitchen
on
and-
the shelves.
But no, Alan went home with most of his wardrobe. That was his keepsake.
Well, Alan never took off his wardrobe when he
After
would go
filming,
home.
He'd
He would just go with his wardrobe. I have picked up on that once Carol Seaver got cuter clothes, and I did do that too.
Alan's all of his wardrobe was Rick Palak clothing.
Oh,
Rick
yeah,
Palak
Rick Palak.
was a clothing guy in LA over in the Valley, and he had this men's clothing store, and so he did all of Alan's wardrobe for
feel
Growing
like-
Pains, and he also did the pajamas for Hugh Hefner.
Oh.
6 Degrees of Separation.
yes.
I feel
Rick
like
Palak
sometimes
is the
Alan
one
would
that
show up
did
in a bathrobe or
those.
something, or a hockey uniform.
There was a time where Alan was actually living less than a mile and a half from the set. So a lot of times he would bike to the set in his half PJs or his little tracksuit thing, all disheveled, because he just biked over, and then he'd jump in hair and makeup, and he'd look perfect. But yeah, he definitely showed up.
Our funny thing is, it was before cell phones, and so there'd be a phone on set, and like, oh my goodness, you could not get Alan away from that phone. It was usually ladies calling him.
If you couldn't find Alan, you just went to the phone in the corner of the set, and there he'd be.
Yeah, because people forget, before he was the father on Growing Pains, he had Thick of the Night and was kind of seen as like a bold kind of hip comedian who was like a little risque.
Well, he
Hello,
had been.
my name is Alan Thick. How you doing,
Oh, yeah.
Tracy?
I mean, his
Alan-
ex-wife wrote Friends and Lovers.
Oh yeah, no. Alan was
That's
basically
what I
the Johnny Carson of Canada. He was the biggest talk show host out there. Wayne Gretzky was his best friend in Canada, and it was in both of their primes. So their favorite thing to do was go to the local bars and shut them down, because as soon as they walked in.
You know what I would say though, Jeremy? If we really when he did Thick of the Night, he got a little heat for that.
Yeah.
And so doing Growing Pains was like his
Helped
redemption. And Joanna was going through things in her own life.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they came out to Growing Pains, both of them, and they talk about this openly, so I'm not saying anything, both of them came in like this was a safe place. And so it made it a very welcoming environment, because they saw this as a really good opportunity. They appreciated it. They didn't like think it was beneath them. They were so appreciative of it, and it trickled down to all of us.
Absolutely.
It was like a second chance almost, or like
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Alan's best line ever, and he used it till the day he died, was, "They always said no one could beat Carson, and I'm the man they hired to prove it."
Yeah, because the ads for Thick of the Night were literally, "Look out, Johnny! Like he's coming to kill you!" Like they were very, yeah.
And it didn't go well,
No,
and
it
Alan realized that. But that's actually why.
If like Joanna and Kirk would go on Johnny Carson, and Alan, to prep them to go on Johnny Carson all week, he would be like, okay, he would get their jokes, he would like set them up. It wasn't just you go and like, we're talking now. It was like you were
pre-interview,
studying for a test.
Well, he would know, because Joanna had done like some TV. She was on Love Boat a bunch of times. Like, yeah. We're almost out of time. One more question? Anyone? And if you haven't been over to see them, definitely go over, get an
I was
autograph.
gonna say we're over there. We're selling. All have pictures. I have T-shirts. If you would like to buy and wear me, this is the oldest picture of me. So if you would like to wear me and the oldest picture of me, or them, it could be them.
It's a stunning likeness, I will say.
I want you to know it's a stunning likeness. This is the oldest picture of me out there. It's also the oldest picture of Jeremy. It is also the oldest picture of Tracy. So we're selling T-shirts, sweatshirts.
My
we
guy
have
would have
pictures.
a bow, though.
It's nice
What's
to see
that?
you so happy.
My
too.
guy would have a bow.
Yes, her guy would have a bow. She's happy to draw it on there if you would like to purchase one.
I literally came out of the womb with one.
Yes.
You gotta have a bow. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having us.
I want to say thank you, Marsh. Marsh, I know from being online. I don't know if any of y'all follow any of us online, but I really like that. I like being communicated through on Instacrack and on Twitter Crack. That's what I call them, Instacrack, Twitter Crack. I know Marsh. And Marsh, thank you so much for coming. And he brought me the greatest book on Longfellow today. So a Longfellow book of poetry. I just want to say thank you, special thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken.
So cool. I am, as I stated, I'm such a massive fan of that show. So it was so cool to be able to chat with them. That, you know, I get to do some cool things in life. And I have to remind myself of that often, how cool the things I get to do are. Little Kenny Reed would never have believed that I would be talking to these people. Next week, I'll be talking to someone else that you won't believe that I'm talking to either. Side note, just because it's an audio format, Julie's t-shirt was a cartoon of a sperm. It didn't make any sense when you couldn't see that, but now it does. Anyway, I put links to all the social media for all of them. You should follow them. They're very fun. You can follow me on social media at Kenneth W. Reed or at TV Guidance or become a patron or any of those things. And I'll be here next week. I hope you will too for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.
You just can't escape the
You
boner.
can't escape boner. No, you really can't.
You just
It was